everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to our new season of MTRCB UNCUT. I am your host, Chairman Rachel Arenas. Due to the COVID pandemic, instead of our usual face-to-face interview, we will now be doing our interview online like everybody else. Today, we have a no-nonsense, uncensored, open conversation with two brilliant and multi-awarded directors from the Directors Guild of the Philippines to check on how the film industry is striving to survive. Let's explore how these personalities are coping with the realities under the new normal. Please welcome President of the DGPI, Direct Paolo Villaluna, and Director Pepe Diokno. Hi!
Hi, good afternoon, Chair. Thank you for inviting us, and Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! Good afternoon, Chair. Hi, Paolo.
Kamusta na kayo? How are you both coping during the past months?
Well, like everyone, we're all coping. Thankfully, medyo nabuksan na yung industriya I think since last October. So there's that. So medyo may income na ulit. But I guess like everyone else, even directors are coping.
Paano kayo nagko-cope, Direct Pao and Direct Pepe?
Siguro, Chair, I'll just share a little sa audience natin na early on during the pandemic, Congress did the research. And of course, you know, it's a global pandemic. So many industries were actually affected. However, during the research ng Congress, they actually found out na yung entertainment industry is actually the #1 hit industry in the country. And parang more than tourism, yung entertainment industry was actually really hit hard. We're talking here of cinema, we're talking here of live events, we're talking here of theater and other musical live events, no? And here's the thing, the difficult part sa industriya natin, sa pelikula, 85% are actually freelancers. Ibig sabihin, wala tayong monthly sweldo unless you're under contract, let's say with a big studio. However, so 85% freelancers, ibig sabihin, walang income kung walang trabaho. As in literally. And yung epekto nito, from the utility to the actors, to the crew, to the directors. As in literally, maybe the directors might be more blessed kasi mas may naipon siguro, but everyone had to live off their savings kasi wala talagang income. And thankfully, medyo nagbubukas-bukas na. Nagbukas na, I think, since last October. However, there are very strict protocols that we have to follow. And those protocols actually affected not only the production, but even the way we tell stories. Kasi unang-una, limited number of people on the set. What is normally 150 people on the set, you're now working with the 50 to 70 people.
So ibig sabihin, Direct, yung mga kalahati din nun, syempre wala ring trabaho.
Yes, sadly. That's really sad. Kalahati walang trabaho. Kaya ang nangyayari, nagre-relyebo na lang, trying to revolve para at least lahat magkaroon ng trabaho. And then, of course, the health protocols itself, they're so stringent, it changes the way you tell your story, not only logistically, not just locations or limited visuals. We're talking here of the way you prepare. Kasi syempre, you need a big chunk of time to really prepare. Ibig sabihin, hindi ka na pwede katulad dati na when you suddenly think of something on the set na pwede mo nang gawin, you want to suddenly change location or some inspiration hits you and you want another actor, hindi na pwede. Because everything has to be prepared prior to the shoot talaga.
I guess extra effort talaga sobra, not only because of the protocols, kasi syempre you want to make the content appear as simultaneous, no, as normal as it used to be, right? So hindi pwedeng sabihin mo na okay, kissing scene agad dito dahil bawal naman 'yon, di ba? How about direct Pepe? How have you been, coping lalo na sa work?
Yeah, well, as Paolo said, we really had to adjust from number one, yung working hours. We're now very strict, enforcing it. I think it's 12 hours now, so that it rigidly affects the number of setups that you can do in a day. The number of people, of course, on set is also a big thing. And then in terms of the kinds of stories that we can tell, you mentioned, Cherry, mga kissing scenes na bawal na. We had to really rethink scenes with kids kasi kids are not allowed there outside of their houses. So I've had some shoots where we with literally two people go inside the home of the child to shoot. And then we do, well, at least in advertising, we do a lot of things remotely. So I've had some shoots also where, and this is so weird for a director, but some shoots where I'm just at home watching on my laptop, and then the director of photography and the assistant director are on set. Mahirap yon. There have also been in sa film and sa series mga lock-in shoots naman on the other end of things. So parang mga isang buwan magkasama la buong crew. And then they're tested before they enter and after they leave. So it's really been a change, but kailangan eh. And ang maganda, so far nakikita ko, of course there have been stories of productions that have not followed, but I have to say that those have been the exception rather than the norm, at least from what I've heard. For the most part, ang ganda makita na nagtutulong-tulong ang mga tao. Everybody is caring for each other's health, and everybody has the well-being of each other in mind. It's just been nice to see that in general.
Actually, that's so true. Actually, ang sarap sa set na everyone's watching out for each other's welfare talaga.
Mm-hmm.
Di ba I heard that DGPI has partnered with local groups to help those in the industry na walang work, no? Can you tell me about that initiative?
Early on, during the pandemic, realizing nga na freelancers tayo lahat, there's a wonderful group called Lockdown Cinema Club. They had this initiative of fundraising for the displaced workers. Early on in their campaign, DGPI partnered with them. We were able to raise a big amount of money. And here's the thing, hindi lang DGPI, we also partnered with the LPS, the cinematographers group, yung mga sa crew naman. And then we also partnered with the Ricky Lee scriptwriters group. So together with Lockdown Cinema Club, the initiative was able to raise close to more than 5 million.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a really big amount, and it really helped a lot of lives talaga. Kaya I wanna do a shout out to the guys ng Lockdown Cinema Club, sila Carl Chavez, sila Maki Galvez, sila Miss Aragona. Amazing job talaga.
Uy, I want to also work with them in a personal level. Kasi alam mo naman, limitado yung agency namin, but of course, the agency is very much willing to, to whatever assistance that we can give. No? But sabi nga ni Direk Pepe earlier, yun nga yung nakita natin na during your shoots now, no, under the new normal na, makita mo yung pag-aalaga ng iba mong mga kasama sa iba nilang kasama, looking after the welfare of each other. That I guess, like Direk Pepe said, yun yung parang positive na lumabas sa bagong normal ngayon. Like yung mga tumutulong sa atin ngayon, no? Pati yung mga ibang mga congressman, iba't ibang grupo na tumutulong. At sometimes, I receive messages also na natutuwa ako dahil pag nakaka-receive ako ng messages asking help for some actor, some actress, or some people in the industry, I know that these people are not only texting me, but asking help from many people. So you see the industry uniting also, and a lot of groups wanting to help. So I hope that I can sit down with them, no, or do Zoom one of these days, Direk.
Oh yeah. And Chair, I mean, nabanggit mo na rin naman na yung konting silver lining during the pandemic, no? It has been a big challenge for the industry, but I'll be honest, it was actually overwhelming then. groups started to unite by themselves. They started creating guilds.
Yes.
Then all these guilds started to come together. In fact, when we all got together, we created an alliance. It's called the Inter-Guild Alliance. And it
Yes.
was actually the Inter-Guild Alliance who created the safety and health protocols for the community. This is with the consent and with the cooperation of all guilds, including producers and DOPs and assistant directors and production designers and actors. And so it's an overwhelming feeling na nakikita mo yung buong industriya working together towards a common goal.
So ano na to, Direk, itong Guild Alliance, like Paul, parang everybody agreed on a one strict health and safety protocol. Lahat ng industry, parang it's just one that they follow. Tama ba yon?
Yes, we created a baseline protocol. There are some productions na hihigitan pa yon. I mean, example, kung meron silang budget, meron silang every 5 days, meron silang PCR testing. I mean, all of those protocols na additional, na above and beyond what is required, the basic safety and health protocols.
Pero ano rin yun? Added sa gastos nyo din yung mga ngayon, di ba? Mas magastos mag-shoot?
Oh my God. I-share ko lang, Pepe, na it's actually so hard for producers. Offhand, there's an additional 30% na spike sa budget para lang to accommodate the protocols. We're not talking here of just masks and the face shields na ipoprovide ng production, no? We're talking here of disinfection. We're talking here kung lock-in shoot. We're talking here of the producers sinasagot yung quarantine space. Pepe, correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes buong hotel pa ang hina-hire, no, to quarantine the whole staff.
Huh? So kayo rin, that's on your tab, right?
On the producers, it's much more expensive because of that. Plus the testing pa.
So imagine mo 30% more pa, and then tapos sarado yung mga cinemas, tapos yung iba, di ba? So you really have to, yung marketing nyo would be mostly online na talaga, di ba? I mean, like the MMFF now is all online. Marami nga nagtatanong sa akin, may MMFF ba? Siyempre yung reach din, di ba, is not as wide. Of course, it's getting it's getting better, it's getting wider and wider, but it's still not as wide as when we have it on the cinemas, when you market it on TV, di ba?
Yes, not as wide. The transition pa tayo, it's not as prevalent as what we saw abroad na yung mga Hollywood releases na pupunta na sa streaming, like yung mga Wonder Woman, ganun, kasi ano na yung audience sa atin, wala pa masyado. Maybe in a few years or in a few months.
Actually nga, itong MMFF, ako nga yung nagsasabi, nagtitext ako, sinasabi ko dun sa mga kakilala ko, uy, manood kayo, ganito, ganyan, you can go online and have di ba, parang you have to register. So parang not everybody actually knows now na ito pala yung lumalabas online, lalo na sa mga far-flung places, di ba, wala naman halos, hindi lahat nakaka-access ng internet. So paano mo mababawi yung 30% add-on mo dun sa pag-shoot mo?
Yeah. I have a film, Chair, na we were supposed to shoot this month, actually, January. Kaso, because of the costs of testing and all the protocols, hindi na talaga matutuloy, I think, unfortunately.
So what? You're just going to wait first, ganyan? Before you
I think with this project, I think specifically, kailangan mag-antay. Medyo malaki, but yeah.
So paano kaya ngayon, direct? Like for example, yung mga dinidirect ganyan. I mean, of course, you have what's your marketing strategy?
Well, one, sadly, dahil wala pang mga sinihan, and let's be honest, it is the primary source of income talaga na initial for all films, no? secondary na lang sana, added income na lang yung streaming. And that's usually the practice. So ngayon medyo forced tayo to streaming na sabi nga ni Pepe, hindi pa tayo sanay as a country. Wala pa talagang income sa streaming talaga per se. Na in fact, kahit nga Wonder Woman, I don't know if you heard the news last weekend, they just hit the 100 million mark globally.
Global na yon ha?
Global.
Na yun for
Usually,
them.
domestic lang yan yung 100 million. Usually,
Oo.
US lang yan. So, there's really a small margin of income sa streaming. So, ang nangyayari, lumilit rin ng budget ng mga producers to make films.
Yeah.
So, I understand what Pepe said kanina na pag big budget, baka medyo on hold muna. So, that means producers will have to risk with smaller budget materials, and then the way you market it, unfortunately, is to find the market muna online. Like, ngayon, predominantly, there's a big market for BL material, which is a good thing.
Great
It
thing.
normalizes gender issues, no? And I think that's a really brilliant thing. And so the producer has to figure out the current market, sa landscape ng online, and then kind of make a film towards that market habang hindi pa stable yung online market, I think.
I think that maybe sometimes the limitations actually give rise to a parang ways to be more creative. Like si Pao mentioned yung mga BL, like yung mga boys lockdown and stuff, na they found their audience online and then were able to save because it's the actors who shoot themselves in their own homes. So hindi na kailangan ng mga location permits or big crews. And they've actually been able to find their audience so much that I just saw them on Netflix. Parang nabili ata sila ng Netflix, which is a good thing.
Parang talaga lahat ng abilidad ng mga tao lumalabas na ngayon, ano? Pati abilidad na lumalabas na. So, kagaya niyan, yung mga rated SPG like bed scenes that I mentioned earlier and intense, yung mga kissing, bawal yan ngayon sa new guidelines, di ba?
I believe so. Paolo, I work mostly in advertising, so wala talaga kami mga SPG. Wala talaga mga SPG scenes.
Thank you.
I'm all very, very G-rated.
Pero I think sa pelikula, and I can be corrected, no? Dahil pag lock-in chair, nag-ano kayo, nagpi-PCR testing kayo, tapos quarantine kayo. So there is a big assumption na in a bubble, parang NBA sa US, you guys are all COVID-free. So those little interaction, ha?
So parang pwede pa rin because naka-quarantine kayo ng 2 weeks eh.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, oo. As long as proper yung protocols.
And I think in the protocols, it's at the end of the day, it's the actor who has the decision whether or not to
Okay.
do a scene like that.
Medyo maiba lang ako ng konti. If 2020 was a movie, what title would you give it? Direct Pepe, you.
This is gonna sound so weird, but this is an existing movie or a totally new title.
No. For example, it was the whole 2020 was a movie you're watching on TV and there was no title. What title would you give it?
Oh gosh.
Marami, no? Parang marami ako naiisip eh.
Yeah,
I have a title.
Yeah, what's your title?
Alone Together.
Yes.
Sana meron akong ka-together. Maganda bagay sa akin yung Alone Together.
Ako this year natuto ako magluto eh, so it will be like something like cooking ng ina mo.
Maganda yun ha. Type yun. Pero pwede ba yun, Attorney Ann, sa atin? But okay, so if 2021 naman is a movie, how would you direct the ending?
Hmm. How would we like 2021 to end?
I guess that's how that's how you're going to, di ba? You're going to go towards that during the end. How would you direct it?
Hmm. I
Uh, Go ahead.
Ako I would I my films usually don't have happy endings, but this 2021 I want to have a happy ending.
Oh,
Hopefully.
parang na ano naman ako doon. Parang na-sad naman ako doon. Not sad, sad, but parang nakakaiyak naman how you said it na, you know, that you don't usually have happy endings, but you want it to be happy. So, how
Sana.
about direct, Pao?
Uh, I, 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 I think I'd go the same ano with Pepe na I think all filmmakers ngayon would want to have a happy ending. I would prefer though that at the end of the year, there's like a cacophony or 100 voices ng mga bagong direktor, ng mga bagong bosses na who will take the opportunity itong pandemic na to share their stories at and it's historically kasi every time there's a downfall of a particular format, there's usually a rise of new creative voices and I would like for that to happen because the last time it happened that there was a rise ng new voices was during the digital transition nung 2005 nung sabi nila namatay na yung film tapos
Marami
suddenly
naman.
the digital directors came in and I think there will be a whole new set of voices coming in this year.
That's good. That's good. So looking forward, what are your plans for the industry this year? Sort of your plans and your forecast.
Ako, I have a wish na, because to be honest, the old normal that we were producing films and series at, it was not a good environment. And ngayon na nagka-pandemic, it's the first time, unprecedented as Pao said, na nagkaisa lahat to talk about conditions on set, working conditions, everybody's safety. Ngayon na nagka-pandemic, we're forced to honor those rules. But hopefully after this is done, hopefully toward the end of the year or 2022, sana yung the progress that we made ay ma-maintain. Or if not, sana mas bumuti pa yung conditions ng pag-produce ng pelikula. That's my wish.
How about you, Direk? Parang ano no, parang yung samahan ngayon kahit may konting kompetensya, hindi nag-aaway-away, nagkakaisa. 'Di ba yung feeling na ganon?
Yeah, I think I'll speak for DGPI. We would like to pursue and continue and cement the partnership ng lahat ng mga guilds na sana hindi lang during pandemic ito kasi there will be more issues in the future and we'd like to take this opportunity na medyo united because in the future we can really roadmap the industry, maybe talk about other issues, although gusto ko lang i-underline yung binanggit ni Pepe kanina na some of the working conditions and the discipline na earn natin during the pandemic like working hours, better pre-prod, people are more disciplined. Hindi na masyado nagkwekwentuhan, tumatambay sa set. Alam mo yan, yung puro trabaho na lang, which is a good thing. Sana these are some of the things that we can maintain post-pandemic.
Sana ang ako naman yung may dream no sa personal ko for the na sana we can have, if there are projects that are co-prod no or by a group, that groups can pull together a sum of money to produce a good film or films for this year. Yung magsasama-sama yung mga philanthropists, yung mga NGOs, yung mga congressman o yung mga senador, gather all the resources together and produce 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 films that they think would make an impact, sa bansa natin, sa mga nangyayari. Aside from the pandemic, what do you think are the challenges pa of the Philippine, or the film industry in the Philippines, aside from, the new normal, ganyan? What do you think will be the challenges this year and, next year?
Yung business model, Chair, nag-iba talaga with ngayon na that the cinemas are not operational. I think it will take a while before the audience comes back to watching movies in the big screen. For me, that's a big challenge. Parang I don't know how producers are going to parang retool their business models for that.
Yun pa rin, it will go back to the pandemic pa rin,
Yeah. And unfortunately kasi parang yung kinabukasan ng mga local producers in the hands of these streaming services right now kasi all the money and power are with the streaming services. It seems like though that the biggest ones are not so keen on producing local content. They're just buying or licensing existing materials, and not for big amounts, very small amounts, I heard. So there really is a challenge. As you said, Chair, that I think more and more people have to take a chance, maybe invest in the film industry, because if we just leave it up to the big streaming services, we're really going to be, I think, in a very challenging situation.
Kasi Direk, I was talking to some friends, kasi pinag-uusapan namin nga itong recent MMFF. And we were saying na sana kung makakita tayong magandang project talaga, pagtulungan natin. Yung kung paano kami makakatulong, di ba, na, let's produce this film, tulungan natin sila. I mean, we may not be able to afford the whole amount, di ba, pero we can have our friends, di ba, if it's really, worth talaga na ipalabas siya. Di ba, na i-market siya online, talagang, we'll do all the works, pero katulong ng ibang tao kasi hindi naman namin kaya na kami lang. But of course, I want to again say that MTRCB, our agency, will, if you need our assistance, if we can also meet, after this interview, as how we can help you, please just let me know. Kasi gusto talaga naming tumulong. Kasi alam mo ngayon, yung mga tao, iniintay nila parang inaasam-asam nila kung ano yung mapanood nila, a feel-good movie, a feel-good show. People now, when they call me, sinasabi, when they open their TVs, halos wala silang mapanood masyado. Tapos sa online, nauubusan na rin sila. So they want something that would inspire them, give them hope, ganyan. So if we can be of help, nandito lang kami.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
It's actually ang sarap sa pakiramdam din na people like you, Chair, and then government agencies are open and are willing to help the industry talaga, because I mean, without government support, hindi rin talaga makakatayo fully ang film industry.
At I want to also take this opportunity to thank DGPI kasi this is for another Zoom interview, and this is for another Zoom session, but for nung nagka-issue kami last year at nandiyan kayo na hindi nyo sinara yung pinto ninyo sa amin at pinakinggan nyo kami, I just want to say thank you again to you. And well, ito, kung kunyari wala kayong unlimited budget tapos walang classification ng MTRCB, anong dream project ninyo? Wala, unlimited talaga. What would be your dream project? You don't have to pass through MTRCB. Ano kaya? I'm wondering, ano yung dream project ninyong dalawa?
Well, actually, I'm writing my dream project ngayon.
Oh, wow!
Uy!
What's it about, in general?
No, it's Manila Apocalypse.
Wow!
It's a sequel of sorts of an old film. I'm writing that now. However, kung fantasy film, oh my God, I forget her name. Lakambini Pepe. Uh,
Kambini.
National hero na babae.
Okay.
Gabriela Sila.
Yes.
I actually dream of doing a silang film na yun.
Is it a modern day hero na, or really during those times?
Well, the dream is in my head, no? If you're familiar with Cloud Atlas, parang
I love that movie.
I love that film. Para siyang iba-ibang timeline. So, meron kang historical, meron kang present, meron kang future, parang alternative.
You're writing it na direct.
Not this one. I'm writing another one. But this Gabriela Silang is a dream film in my head.
How about you, Direk Pepe? Nako, ano kaya ang iyong dream?
Well, the film that I mentioned a while ago that we were supposed to shoot
Okay.
is actually a historical movie. It's about Kumburza. And
I heard about that, Pepe.
Not sayang, kasi sana matuloy pa rin, pero malaki siya eh. I mean, if you just imagine yung execution ng Kumburza in Luneta, in Bagong Bayan, in front of thousands of people. That scene alone, hindi na talaga masushoot because of the pandemic. But hopefully. Kasi
aabangan na yan ng ating mga nanonood sa atin.
it would have been it will be a very interesting film. So the more I read about it, the more we did the research, and it's not just a story of the three priests. It's really a story about how the seeds of a revolution were planted.
Maganda yan. Oo.
Maganda.
Tsaka alam mo, dapat yan kung magawa na yan, direct, dapat yan ilagay sa curriculum ng DepEd. Kasi nakakalimutan na ng mga bata or hindi alam ng mga bata yung talagang history ng ng ating bansa at kung sino-sino yung pinaglaban nila at binigay nila yung buhay nila para sa bansang to. Anyway, meron tayong mga questions from our netizens. Ito nandito. Paano daw kayo nagpe-prepare for a Zoom meeting? Kasi syempre itong mga millennials lagi na sa Zoom, di ba? Para sa school nila, sa mga kaibigan nila. How do you prepare daw?
Okay. Ako, I have tips. I have a laptop stand so that yung laptop ko nakataas siya para high angle, shooting down yung camera ko. That's number one. Yeah, so there, exactly. So it's very slimming when you shoot down.
Okay.
And then I have a mic.
Sinusulat ko yan, Direk, ha?
For good audio. Yun lang po.
So, Direk Pao, how do you prepare?
Well, one, I make sure I have stable internet. Which is really difficult, no? Sa bansa natin. And then, ang audio is so important, Pepe, no?
Yeah.
That's why sometimes I wear headsets. I haven't invested in a mic yet. Kaya ako nahihirapan mag-direct na work from home, Pepe. I mean, parang,
yeah, it's so hard.
It's so difficult to shoot work from home, ha? Parang hindi ka no, tighter.
Yeah. Tapos yung nakakainis talaga is the lag.
Yes.
Kung kami nga nahihirapan ito meetings, ang kayo pa na kailangan talaga kayong may, di ba? It's hard na wala ka talaga sa set.
And then,
kasama yung mga artists mo.
Nakakahiya minsan share kasi like ako, I tend to motivate my actors and it's usually one by one.
Oo, correct. Oo.
So, pag nag-motivate ka na public, nawawala yung intimacy and it's not as effective. Tapos nakakahiya kasi syempre you're drawing out emotions and parang, okay, how do you do this publicly na hindi nakakahiya?
Naririnig ka nung iba nandun sa Zoom.
Exactly.
Diba? Tapos pag nagagalit ka or wrong yung artista, nakakaya naman i-reprimand siya on Zoom. Diba? So yan ang tanong, yung questions. And there's another question na, who inspired you to become a filmmaker, both of you? Or hilig nyo lang ba talaga? I mean, hilig nyo lang ba talaga? I mean, was it already what you wanted to be when, you know, when you were in college or?
I will never forget this, and this is a bit personal. Galing akong Bacolod kasi, Chair eh. I was 12 years old, first year high school. I won't go into it, but something tragic happened, and I was in the hospital. And then I was watching TV. Replay na sa Channel 2, I remember nun. Akala ko I was watching an action film. It turned out to be an existentialist journey of an assassin na hindi niya alam kung robot siya or hindi.
Okay.
The film is called Blade Runner.
Oh.
And it blew me away. That film, I was like, okay, you can actually use cinema to express yourself. So
yun yung nag-trigger dun sa ano mo?
Yeah.
Sa parang inner film director mo.
Parang sabi ko, shit, this is the best way to tell a story.
Pero imagine mo, kung if that tragic thing didn't happen also at that moment, you would have been maybe somebody doing something else, di ba? So parang I'm just saying that everything happens at the right time and with a purpose.
Yeah.
Direct Pepe. What made you become a director?
I think for me, when I was in high school, first year, second year, third year, the film that my dad would take me and our family to watch was the Lord of the Rings trilogy every December. Yun. And then it was watching the behind the scenes featurettes ni Peter Jackson that really inspired me. Because I loved just watching everything that they would do. There, that was.
Pero before that, wala kang hangad. Yung parang, or it was at the back of your mind, or it was really that.
I think it was that, and then at the same time, ang nangyari with Filipino class, we had to do in first year high school Florence Lauer, the movie, and then it became Nolly and Philly, the movie, and then I would always be elected by my classmates to be the director of the project. That's where it started. I just loved. I would borrow the camera of my lola, yung isang V8 or a mini DV camera pa noon, and then I would edit it. I would rent a machine sa likod ng UP Film, and there, just little by little, started falling deeply in love.
So yun na habang lumalaki ka while you were growing up. Oo. So, eto pa, meron pa, madami pa pero hindi ko mababasa lahat to kasi kulang tayo sa time. Can you share with us your most unforgettable moment while you were directing? Yung hindi nyo talaga makakalimutan. Is it funny ba siya? Or nagalit ka ba? Or ano yung top of your mind na hindi mo makalimutan?
Okay, this one's funny. After my first film, that was in 2005, Ilusyon, pag galing ka kasi sa indie chair or sa alternative, parang ayaw mo tumanggap lang ng tanggap ng projects because you kind of want to utilize cinema in a self-expression way. Parang ganon. Pero, syempre, aminin natin, nung time na yun, wala pa ako sa advertising, so wala masyadong pera. So I accepted this little project. I won't say kung anong... this is a secret kasi, secret ng career ko to eh. I accepted this little project. Sige na nga, it's for a Viva Hot Babe thing.
Anong rating? Anong MTRCB rating nito?
No, it's not a film. It's a direct-to-video thing. Okay, so I accepted it, and then on the set, So, I mean, hindi naman tayo astang director. So, wala ako sa monitor, tayo lang ako sa gilid. Ganyan. I was this little kid na mukhang PA. So, one of the hot babes, I won't mention kung sino, goes to me, humingi ng iced tea.
Okay.
And, I mean, what do you say, di ba? So
binigyan mo.
Kumuha ako dun sa dispenser. Binigyan ko ng iced tea. Tapos, nagsaset up na yung DOP. Ganyan. And then, sigaw na yung DOP. Direk, okay na. Ganyan. Okay, sigaw na ako. Okay guys, let's do this! Yeah. And then the girl realizes na ako pala yung director.
Kala ko hiningihan kanya ulit ng iced tea after.
and then she was apologetic and I told her, hey, don't worry. These things happen. That's normal.
Kala ko hiningihan kanya ulit kasi kung hiningihan kanya ulit. Okay. So, like, both of you direct commercials, di ba? So, ano yung difference ng movie sa isang 30-second commercial? Kasi mahirap yun, di ba?
Iba. It's comparing apples to oranges.
Hindi siya ma-compare, no?
I think so. I don't know. Pero ako, I like to do yung mga mas longer form na advertising materials, yung mga short films, yung mga Kwentong Jollibee, etc. So that one is much more similar. But the main difference talaga is with the film, it's really a director's medium. Parang it's the director's world and the writer's world also. But at the end of the day, the director has the last say. In advertising, there's a bigger fish. There's a master that you serve, which is the client, and they have the last say.
Because you have to serve what they want, di ba?
Yes.
Kung ano yung gusto nilang theme, kung ano yung gusto nilang nalalabas dun sa ads.
Yes.
Pero at saka hindi ba parang like for example dun sa mga sa mga ads, isn't it actually harder to make a commercial because you're given a limited time?
I think so. Yeah, what do you think, Paul?
Yes, it's harder. The responsibility apart from the limited time, no, the responsibility feels more nakakatakot kasi alam mo nakasalalay sa iyo yung hypothetically McDonald's nag-book na sila ng spot worth 50 million sa commercial sa TV. You feel like you're carrying all of that if you don't execute a good material. Ang problema, what good is dependent on them, not on you.
Correct. You're correct.
Kumbaga, but it has its own its own fulfillment. It's actually very fulfilling to be able to tell a story in 30 seconds. In fact, I learned this early on when I was doing all the Tide commercials ni Vic Soto. Even those benta commercials, you actually have to find the story.
Yeah.
Parang
bibigay mo across yung message ng client na yung gusto nila, di ba? Di ba ang hirap? Kasi may message sila they want to, di ba? To relate to the audience, di ba? So in 30 seconds, you have to be able to do that.
True. And literally you have to find a story na hindi lang benta, hindi ito promo lang. Parang, bakit si Vic Soto pumunta sa baryo na to para magbenta ng Tide? Ano yung kanyang motivation? Tapos itong girl na to na si Aling maglalaba, ano yung hirap niya sa buhay? Bakit niya kailangan ng Tide? So you have to look for stories like that to make it more meaningful and memorable.
At saka para maintindihan nila na talagang sa 30 second na yon may story.
Yes.
Di ba hindi lang basta nakita mo si Tide, di ba? Parang may 30 second story ka doon, ang hirap, di ba?
It's a discipline ako that I am so grateful that I went through and am going through. Na parang in a 30 second or 15 or now even 6, every single thing that you see in frame ay binusisi at binubusisi talaga. as Paolo said, you have to know the motivations. Every single decision is made behind them. In film, ako, when I was starting out, I didn't really have that discipline. And yun. So it's an out, different art form in itself. But I wish moving forward, if going back into film, na matatake ko rin yung discipline na yun of planning everything and really like having this attention to detail.
Alam mo, not all of you know, but Direk Pepe directed our MTRCB commercial.
Mula noon hanggang ngayon, gabay natin ang MTRCB ratings sa matalino at responsableng panonood. Sa tamang pagsunod sa MTRCB ratings, ginagawa nating ligtas at makabuluhan ang panonood ng bawat miyembro ng pamilyang Pilipino. Lumipas man ang panahon hanggang may pamilyang Pilipino, andyan ang MTRCB.
So, kung...
I know.
Actually, marami akong nakuhang admiration at marami nagandahan doon sa commercial na yun. Pero tatanungin ko nga si Direk, doon sa commercial ba natin, ano ba yung naging experience mo doon, Direk? Kasi hindi pa kita natatanong after kung natuwa ka ba, nainis ka ba?
No, sobrang natawa. It was such an easy shoot to do. We shot it with you in a movie theater, and then we changed location. But I was just really sad that we shot that right before the pandemic. I wish I saw it in the movie house. Kasi we really shot it with the movie house in mind.
Sandali na siya napalabas. Pero at least minsan lumalabas sa TV siya.
Okay, cool.
Pag gabing-gabi na. Pero ito, I mean, I have so much more questions for both of you, but this would be my last question. Looking forward as a filmmaker, how do you want to be remembered? What mark do you want to leave the industry?
Parang ang hirap sagutin yun.
Ako, I can answer for Paolo because Paolo is such a hardworking, no, seriously, organizer, leader in the film industry. Not just in DGPI, but also in IGA. And super hats off. I can see all the hard work that Paolo does, getting people together, doing the legwork. Paolo also, he'll never admit this, but his own personal funds, his own resources, he puts into the DGPI work. And ako, speaking as a board member, speaking as a filmmaker, I'm so grateful for that. And I think Paolo will always be remembered for his immense contribution to the industry.
Kinikilabutan naman ko. You see how, like, you both so much know each other and, how much you admire each other. And I'm, natutuwa ako ng gano'n na alam niyo yung trabaho ng isa't isa. Kasi, di ba, in a world where everybody is after yung buhay natin na rat race before, di ba? Na para everybody doesn't care about other people. But here in the industry where I work in, people care about each other. People know, the story of each other. Si Direk Pepe na nagsabi ng mark ni Direk Paolo.
Sorry, Pao. I just had to answer for you.
No, thank you. Nahiya ako, nag-blush ako.
Ako nga, kinilabutan ako, Direk eh. Kasi it was how it was sincerely said, and and natuwa rin ako na nakita ko how the people that I'm interviewing na hindi naman tayo katagalang magkaibigan pero feeling ko na close na tayo. So I have so much more questions for both of you, and I hope there will be a part 2. But I want to thank you. We have 2 of our best directors with us. It's very hard to get a hold of them. They're so very busy. Yung experience ko lang kay Direk Pepe, talagang makikiusap ako, makisingit lang ako ng ilang minuto lang sa kanyang schedule. So our audience is so lucky that we have you on board now. And I hope there will be a part 2. Thank you so much again to the Directors Guild for your support, to our agency and to me. Maraming salamat, and I look forward that this 2021 will be better, happier, kinder, and safer for all of us. And babangon ulit yung industriya. Babangon tayo ngayong taon. Today, we will be having a no-holds-barred conversation with the box office king, John Lloyd Cruz. Hi, kamusta ka na?
Hi, good morning.
Follow us on our social media pages on Facebook. Like and subscribe dun sa aming pong YouTube channel sa MTRCB UNCUT. This has been your chairwoman, Rachel Arenas for MTRCB UNCUT. See you again.